I don't got any Star Wars movies on 4K. I do have like the original trilogy on DVD. Have no idea where that set is, but so this is gonna have to do. Let's be fair. This did start um, the Star Wars universe. This is where Star Wars came from. Is Dune right here? And I even have the poster over here. So, you guys can't see it. It's gonna have to do. Hey guys, welcome to the review show. My name's Austin. Star Wars Skeleton Crews. 8 episodes are all out on Disney Plus right now. In A New Republic era, a group of kids lost in the Star Wars galaxy desperately trying to find their way home. To be fair, I had no really full-on interest to watch this show. I watched it very late. I kind of watched it when all like 7 episodes were out, and I just binge watched them. And next, just finished watching episode 8, and that's probably the best way to watch this show. Was trying to stay in positive because I do have a negative view onto this show. Let's be clear, it's better than the Acolyte. It's not that hard to be better than that. That's not a big leap, but it is better than the Acolyte. So, but I do have my gripes. But staying positive, to watch the show, it's better to watch it all at once because for some reason Disney and their fucking runtimes are just are terrible. The pacing for this show is ruined because of its runtimes, and if you try to watch one episode a week, it just doesn't work. The show actually flows a lot better when you're watching it all at once. But overall, I had a fun time watching it. Like I did like this space adventure that we went on that didn't at first didn't really feel like Star Wars. It took the show started off on this mysterious planet that no one has ever heard of, and it felt a little bit too modern, like to Earth. It felt too close to that. So it's like, okay, this is just Goonies but futuristic and in space. And next, when the kids actually decide to leave the planet, that's where it started feeling like Star Wars, and that's where I started having a little bit more fun with it. Sets the costumes for this show looked very good. It actually felt proper to the time era that this story took place in, which was after not Revenge of the Sith. Well, technically it is, but after Return of the Jedi. And the space treasure adventure actually felt fun and exciting. And when they even came across some treasure, I got some flashbacks to Indiana Jones, especially like Raiders of the Lost Ark. When Jude Law came onto screen, I was very surprised how well I actually did find his character very interesting. Jude Law is a pirate who has force capabilities, so it brought up the question of like, oh, is this guy like an ex Jedi? Or like what's this guy's story? You learn some stuff of his story, but not enough. You don't really scratch the surface that much on his story. But with that even said, he was a very interesting character, and it was fun. And it was really fun to watch him play this role. I really liked him in the role, and he really worked. He brought some form of presence to the screen, especially this show. Even though it's made for kids, there are some dark themes in this show. Like the season starts out pretty brutal. This show starts out with like pirates invading a Republican spacecraft, and it's pretty brutal. It reminded me a little bit of Rogue One in a way with Darth Vader, and when he enters into the rebel ships. So it tries to be for kids, but it also tries to give something for adults. The action in it is very fun when it's there. The big overall story itself is kind of where it's underwhelming. So in the show, you have these group of kids who stumble their way onto a ship, and they accidentally turn on the ship and exit autopilots its way off their planet, and a hyperspace jumps out of their system, and now they come across these pirates, and next they meet Jude Law, and Jude Law and the kids team up to try to get them back to their planet, and they learn that their planet is a forgotten planet that rumors say that has some form of treasure on it. And so that's how Jude Law's character kind of factors in. And this is kind of where I get into more of my gripes a little bit. And even though I really like Jude Law's character a lot, and I like Jude Law's performance from this character, the suspense building up to we should trust this guy or should we trust this guy is kind of, well, how I'm calling this show overall, very underwhelming, because they show right away that this guy isn't very trustworthy. So you kind of predict what's going to happen. And people will say, well, it's for kids, so it's kind of predictable in that way. No, you can still make something unpredictable for kids. Like you really is by not showing a scene where he's like, hey, I'm going to use these kids practically to get what I want. Not in that exact wording, but he phrases it in similar ways. And it's like, okay, so whatever these future conversations with of like, should we trust them or should we not? It's kind of just meaningless dialogue. And there's a lot of that conversation of like, oh, should we even trust you? Even though I do like that these characters, especially kids, are questioning that, should we even trust this random stranger that we don't know? And we as the audience are raised, no, you shouldn't trust them because we've seen a whole entire scene. But a lot of the dialogue kind of feels meaningless. And that's kind of most of the show. Like there's episodes in here that have zero impact and they don't even touch the surface of diving into more storytelling, because like they come across this another planet that has like a civil war kind of going on to it, like a bunch of raiders like fighting each other. Like it used to be the civilization, and next they broke out into a war. And I'm like, okay, cool. All right, we're gonna see two different tribes. We're gonna see how how they interact with one another. It's like, what's going on here? Why is it? And like the characters are there for a split second, and next they're gone in the next episode. It's like, oh, okay, all right. Well, you brought up this whole entire another civilization, and next you don't do anything with it. That's cool. And the characters themselves, mostly when it comes to the kids, they're kind of forgettable. I don't remember any of the characters' names, especially Jude Law's character. I think his name is like John or something very generic in that way. I just called him Jude Law throughout the whole entire session when I was watching this whole entire show. That says a lot because they say the characters' names over and over multiple times, and I could not remember any of the characters' names at all. And so, and mostly because they don't really have any purpose. Some of the kids in the show do stuff, but our main lead has absolutely zero character development in this whole entire show. He adds literally nothing to anything, and you could take him out and it wouldn't change anything because he doesn't do anything. He has one moment in the whole entire show where he is basically shooting at some ships, and he maybe hit it once. Now I get it, like he's a kid, he doesn't know how to control like a turret or anything, and he's trying to shoot a ship, but it's like he doesn't have any purpose. Unlike out of all the other characters, one is somewhat like a leader, one knows numbers, and one can somewhat fly a ship pretty well for a kid. And so, but out of all the characters, he is useless. He's pointless. And so it's like, well, what's the point of having this kid here? Just the whine? And that's pretty much half of this kid, who is our main lead, is whine throughout this whole entire show. But even then, with the other characters, they don't really go through a character development. They kind of somewhat do, but I wish that they kind of develop it more to this point. So overall, my biggest gripe is the story, and even the resolution of this whole entire show. There isn't any. Like it just ends, and I'm like, what? We went on this whole entire adventure for you just to simply end, and it wasn't even a cliffhanger. It just ends. It's like, all right, we're done. See ya. Bye. Let's pick up our bags and go. We did our job. Done and clean. It's like it really feels very abrupt, and so which is a lot of this story. Which is a lot of this show. This feels very abrupt. Sometimes it would just put you in the middle of a scene. It's like, wait, how did we get here? Why are we suddenly in a chase now? It's like there felt like there was a lot of stuff missing. And even though like it did feel like it was still being dragged out, and because it would be sometimes repeating certain bits, had a good time with it in certain bits, especially those very first couple of episodes. Those first couple episodes were a lot of fun, and I felt the thrill of watching Star Wars again a little bit. It made me feel like a kid, but then when I started thinking about what's the point of this show, that's where it started falling apart, because there isn't really any form of purpose for this show. Even though it is better than most of the Star Wars properties, it just lacks in scratching the surface of this interesting story. I'm going to give Star Wars Skeleton Crew a C+. Overall, the show has a fantastic feel to it, fantastic feel of adventure, and at some point it does start feeling like Star Wars. I feel like another draft of the whole entire show was needed, and it just was very underwhelming. But yeah, I recommend you guys checking this out if you have free one day and just simply just binge watch it. It is a ton of fun, and this is also my next commentary series, show commentary series on the channel. The first episode for this series goes up this upcoming Sunday, so hopefully you guys enjoy that for the next couple of 8 weeks while I am also working on another commentary show. And I had a good time recording my reaction to the show, but at some point into the show, I did start breaking because I started to pick up on the things that I mentioned throughout this whole entire review. And I'll go in greater details in those videos too. So if you want to get like a spoiler side of my full on thoughts, that's the series that you guys should go check out. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Like always, I'll see you guys next review. Bye, guys.